every African in America feeling powerless, I want you to know that you are not alone. There's a reason you feel the weight pressing down on your shoulders. It is not imagined. It is real. It is generations deep. It is systems, silence, and survival woven together. But you are not powerless. Power was stolen, not lost, and what can be stolen can be reclaimed. The fight is not about becoming something you are not. It's about remembering what you've always been. You come from people who endured, who built, who dreamed even when dreaming was dangerous. You come from resilience, brilliance, and vision. That blood still flows in you. They want you to believe your voice doesn't matter, that your body doesn't matter, that your future doesn't matter. But your existence alone is resistance. Your breath is protest. Your joy is defiance. Every step you take forward, every truth you speak out loud is power rising. Look around you. The struggle is shared. There are millions feeling what you feel, fighting what you fight. You're not a shadow in this country. You are its foundation. You are its heartbeat. And no one can erase that. You have power in your story, in your choices, in your unity, and especially in your refusal to be broken. This is not the end. This is the middle of the rising, and your voice is part of what lifts the whole sky. So stand up, even if your knees shake. Speak, even if your voice trembles. Love yourself in a world that tries to teach you otherwise. You were never powerless. You were always powerful. They were just afraid you'd find out. You are not alone. That feeling of being powerless, of being unheard, unseen, or pushed to the side, it's not just in your mind. It's a heavy truth that many African people in America carry silently every day. The weight isn't just from one bad moment or one bad experience. It's from years, decades, centuries of being treated as less than, of having your identity twisted, your dignity questioned, and your humanity ignored. It's a truth that runs deep in the bloodline of this country, where black bodies built so much, but were denied ownership of what they created, denied justice, denied peace. When you walk into a room and feel you have to shrink yourself, speak differently, act cautiously, that's not just anxiety, that's survival. That's the result of generations being taught, directly or indirectly, that safety often means silence, that invisibility can sometimes be protection, and still, with all of that conditioning, you are here, still breathing, still standing, still trying to rise. That in itself is a quiet kind of power. This feeling of powerlessness, of questioning whether you matter, whether your voice will make a difference, isn't yours alone to carry. Across cities, neighborhoods, schools, and workplaces, there are others feeling that same ache. And you need to understand that this shared pain is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of a people who have been forced to endure too much for too long. The system was designed to create that feeling. It wasn't accidental, it was intentional. Generations before you fought against it, some with words, some with their lives, and now you carry that same torch, even when you don't realize it. You may feel tired, you may feel isolated, but even in those quiet moments of doubt, you are not the only one fighting to hold on to dignity, to pride, to purpose. You're not the only one questioning how we got here or where we go from here. Look closer. Behind the pain is a community of people with the same fire in their hearts. They may express it differently. Some are marching in the streets. Some are building businesses. Some are writing books or teaching children or creating music that speaks truth. But the mission is shared: to be seen, to be heard, to be free. The history of oppression isn't just about chains or laws. It's about the psychological weight that gets passed down, the quiet fear, the unspoken rules, the way you brace yourself for rejection before it even happens. But that history is only half the story. The other half is how people like you continue to push through, to keep loving, to keep dreaming. That resistance, even when it's not loud, is power. So even when you feel powerless, know that the very act of caring about justice, of wishing for something better, is already defiance. Know that in the moments where you want to give up, there are others holding space for you, even if you don't see them. You are not alone. Your struggle is not just yours, it is part of something larger. And that is where the hope lives, not in pretending everything is okay, but in facing the truth together and refusing to be broken by it. You are not imagining what you feel, but don't let that feeling convince you that you are small. You are part of a people who have always made a way, even when there was no way. And that power, that legacy, lives in you. Your power was stolen, not lost. That's an important truth to sit with. You were never born powerless. You didn't come into this world lacking strength, pride, or identity. But from the moment you took your first breath, the world around you began sending messages, often subtle, sometimes loud, trying to tell you otherwise. These systems, built long before your time, were designed to disconnect you from your roots, your brilliance, and your potential. But no matter how much they tried to bury that truth, your power never disappeared. It still lives within you, waiting to be remembered, reclaimed, and reignited. From the beginning, the system knew what you were capable of. That's why it worked so hard to break you before you even knew who you were. It tried to teach you shame before pride. It painted your history in pain while leaving out the glory. It made you memorize the names of men who enslaved your ancestors, but left out the names of those who resisted, rebelled, and built legacies in spite of it all. This wasn't by accident. It was strategic, because when people don't know who they are, when they think they come from nothing, they're easier to control. But that's the lie, and you don't have to keep believing it. The truth is, your power runs deeper than anything they could erase. It's in your DNA, your culture, your skin, your story. It's in the way you keep showing up, even when the world tries to shut you down. It's in your creativity, your laughter, your rhythm, your insight. They tried to strip you of those things, sometimes through violence, sometimes through education, through media, through laws, but they could never fully take what was never theirs to begin with. Think about the strength it takes to keep living, to keep dreaming, when you've been told every day that your life is worth less. That strength is not weakness. That strength is power. And not just any power. It's the kind that's been forged in fire, in struggle, in survival. It's the kind of power that comes from rising again and again, even when the odds are stacked high. That's the kind of power no system can truly erase. You may not feel powerful every day. In fact, there may be days when you feel exhausted, angry, numb, or disconnected. That doesn't mean your power is gone. It just means you're human. Even the strongest warriors need time to rest, to heal, to grieve. Don't confuse fatigue with failure. Don't mistake silence for absence. Your power may be quiet sometimes, but it's still there. And when you remember who you are, when you connect with others who see your worth, that power begins to rise again. Reclaiming it isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's in small acts. Choosing to speak your truth, honoring your roots, loving yourself when the world tells you not to. Sometimes it's in standing up for someone else, or creating something beautiful in a space where you were never expected to thrive. Sometimes it's just refusing to give up. All of these are acts of power. So don't believe the lie that you're weak or broken. Don't believe the silence around you means you have no voice. The system may have stolen pieces of your story, but it never touched the soul of who you are. You were never powerless, only disconnected from your truth. Now is the time to reclaim it, not just for yourself, but for everyone who came before you and for those still to come. Your power is still here. It's always been here. And it's time the world saw it. You come from strength. That truth runs deeper than your skin, deeper than your name, deeper than any circumstance you find yourself in today. You may not always feel it, and the world around you might try to make you forget, but your very existence is proof of a powerful lineage. African ancestry is built on more than struggle. It is built on unmatched resilience, unshakable brilliance, and a legacy of survival that stretches back thousands of years. And none of that strength was left behind. It lives in you right now, whether you see it or not. Long before the chains, before the ships, before the trauma, there were civilizations that shaped the world. African people led in science, medicine, architecture, art, spirituality, philosophy, and governance. The foundations of knowledge, of beauty, of community, those were African creations. You come from empires that lasted centuries, from minds that studied the stars before telescopes were even imagined, from builders who move stone with precision that still baffles the modern world. You come from a people who were whole, complex, and powerful, long before they were ever enslaved. That history is yours. Not just the pain, but the pride. When the violence of slavery tried to break that legacy, it failed. When colonialism tried to erase identity, language, and spirit, it failed. Because even in the darkest hours, African people across the globe carried strength that couldn't be crushed. That's the strength that made it possible to survive what should have destroyed them. The strength to hold on to culture in secret. The strength to protect children, to resist in both loud and quiet ways, to rebuild families, to write, sing, and speak truth even under threat. That same strength continues to be passed down. Not always in words, but in spirit, in rhythm, in the way you walk, love, and dream. You come from survivors. But more than that, you come from creators, leaders, visionaries. You come from people who made something out of nothing again and again. That's not just history, that's a blueprint. And it lives in your bones. When you face challenges, when you feel like giving up, remember that you are not the first to be tested. But like those before you, you carry everything you need to rise. Their courage, their fire, their intelligence. It didn't stop with them, it flows through you. You don't need permission to claim that strength, it's yours by birthright. No degree, no job title, no validation from society is required. It's in your ability to keep going when you're tired. It's in the way you care deeply even when it hurts. It's in how you find joy, laughter, and rhythm even when the world tries to weigh you down. You are more than the obstacles you face. You are the product of endurance, love, and brilliance that refuse to be extinguished. So when you question your worth, when you doubt your purpose, when the world tells you that you are less than, remember where you come from. Not just the hardship, but the glory. Not just the chains, but the crowns. You are the continuation of a story that is still being written, a story that began in greatness, endured through struggle, and still pulses with hope. Every time you speak up, create, learn, teach, or simply survive another day, you're honoring the strength of those who came before. You come from strength, and that strength, no matter how buried or bruised, still lives within you. It's yours to carry, to awaken, and to pass on. Your existence is resistance. That may sound simple, but it carries a power far greater than many realize. Just by waking up and choosing to live in your truth each day, you are pushing back against a system that was never built for you to thrive in. From the beginning, the world around you was shaped by forces that wanted to silence your voice, limit your opportunities, and break your spirit. Yet here you are, still breathing, still showing up, still speaking your truth. That alone is revolutionary. From the moment you were born, you entered a world that often looks at Black life through a distorted lens. Systems of education, justice, healthcare, and media were not created to reflect your reality or uplift your potential. They were built with barriers, traps, and silence, expecting you to internalize the idea that you are less than, undeserving, or invisible. But by living, by finding your voice, and by choosing joy, even in the face of pain, you resist that false narrative. You are not supposed to dream, yet you do. You are not supposed to love yourself deeply, yet you find ways to celebrate your skin, your hair, your culture, your name. You are not supposed to speak up, but your words still find their way into conversations, art, classrooms, and protests. You are not supposed to find peace, but you dance, sing, pray, laugh, and heal. Every one of these acts is a refusal to be boxed in, a refusal to be defined by trauma, a refusal to let oppression write your story. The world tries to make you think resistance has to look a certain way, loud, angry, on a stage or holding a sign. But resistance takes many forms. Sometimes resistance is going to work every day and doing your job with excellence, even when you're overlooked. Sometimes it's loving your children fiercely and teaching them their worth. Sometimes it's going to therapy to break generational cycles. Sometimes it's simply resting, protecting your peace in a world that demands your exhaustion. Joy is resistance too. In a society that feeds off your pain, choosing joy is one of the boldest things you can do. When you laugh freely, when you celebrate your wins, when you gather with your people, when you take up space without apology, that is powerful. Because joy for Black people was never something freely given. It had to be carved out in the cracks of oppression, and yet even in slavery, even in segregation, even in today's struggle, that joy lives on. It's been passed down like a secret weapon, like a sacred inheritance. Your presence challenges every lie you've been told. You are not the stereotype. You are not the problem. You are not what the media says you are. You are more than enough, just as you are, and each day that you choose to believe in your own worth is a strike against the systems that tried to erase it. You may not always feel like you're doing enough, but just being here, continuing to move forward in a world that often moves against you, is enough. Your existence sends a message. I am still here, I am still me, and I will not be broken. So when it feels like the world is too heavy, when you wonder if anything you do matters, remember this: your existence is resistance. Every breath you take is part of a larger fight for freedom, dignity, and truth. And in that fight, your life is not just a part of the story, it is proof that the story is still being written. Unity builds power. That is more than just a statement. It's a truth proven time and time again throughout history. When people come together with a shared purpose, with a common pain and a collective hope, something begins to shift. Change doesn't happen in isolation. It takes more than one voice, more than one person. It takes community. And you are part of a much larger community than you may even realize. One filled with people who share your struggles, your dreams, your determination to be seen and respected. When we stand together, we become something far greater than we can ever be alone. There is power in knowing you are not alone in what you feel or face. Across cities, states, and generations, others carry the same weight you do, navigating systems that weren't built to protect them, fighting for space in rooms where they were never meant to be heard. That shared experience doesn't weaken us, it connects us. And in that connection is the root of power. Because once you recognize that your story is part of a bigger picture, you begin to see how unity can build momentum, how your voice, added to thousands of others, becomes impossible to ignore. We have seen this truth in action. Every major movement for justice, freedom, and equality was driven not by one person alone, but by communities rising together. Whether it was the civil rights marches, student protests, grassroots organizing, or the Black Lives Matter movement, change came when individuals stood shoulder to shoulder and declared, "We matter. We will not be silenced." Those moments of unity shook the world, and they remind us that when we align our efforts, our voices can challenge even the most powerful systems. Unity is not about agreeing on everything. It is about choosing to work together despite our differences because we recognize that the goal is bigger than any one of us. There's strength in diversity of thought, of experience, of skill. Some are fighters, some are planners, some are artists, some are educators. All roles matter, all contributions count. That's what makes a community powerful. Everyone has something to give, and when we bring our strengths together, we build something unstoppable. But unity also requires intention. It means listening to one another, holding space for different experiences, and understanding that our liberation is tied together. It means showing up for each other not just in moments of crisis, but in everyday life. It means building each other up when the world tries to tear us down. It means challenging one another to grow, to stay accountable, and to keep moving forward. Unity is not passive. It's an active choice to love, to support, to fight, and to heal together. The system wants division. It thrives when we are isolated, when we compete instead of collaborate, when we doubt one another instead of standing together. That's why unity is a threat to the status quo. Because a unified people cannot be controlled in the same way. A unified people demand justice and have the strength to see it through. That's the kind of power we build when we move as one. So when you feel like your voice isn't enough, remember you are part of a choir. When your steps feel heavy, remember you walk with millions behind you. And when you wonder if change is even possible, look to the power of unity. That's where revolutions begin, not always with a shout, but with hands joined, stories shared, and hearts aligned. You are not alone, you never were, you are part of something greater, and when we move together, nothing can stop us. You were always powerful. From the very beginning, from the moment you came into this world, you carried something strong and undeniable within you. That power has nothing to do with how much money you have, how many people know your name, or what kind of recognition you receive. It lives in your voice, in your presence, in the way you endure and still reach for something greater. But somewhere along the way, that truth was buried under lies. Lies told so often and so loudly that they start to sound like reality. The idea that you are powerless is not a mistake. It's not an accident. It was created, spread, and reinforced to keep you from seeing who you truly are. Society doesn't benefit from you realizing your worth. A system that profits from your silence, from your struggle, from your self-doubt will do everything it can to convince you that you are weak. It will flood you with images that say you don't measure up, that your body isn't right, that your thoughts don't matter, that your dreams are too much. It will reward you for playing small and punish you for standing tall. And after a while, it becomes easy to start believing the lie. It becomes easy to question your voice, your value, your ability to make a difference. But the truth is, your power was never lost. It was just hidden, buried under generations of injustice, under systems designed to distract and divide, under fear and exhaustion. And yet, it never left you. That's the beautiful, terrifying truth. Even after all you've been through, even when you've been made to feel invisible, the power inside you remains. It's not something you need to earn, it's something you need to remember. Realizing your power is the first step in reclaiming it. It doesn't happen all at once. It starts with small moments. The moment you speak when you're expected to stay quiet. The moment you choose love for yourself in a world that tries to teach you shame. The moment you say no to what doesn't serve you. The moment you dream without permission. These moments matter. They are not small. They are acts of resistance and renewal. Every time you show up as your full self, you are challenging the lie that you are powerless. And once you begin to see your power, everything starts to shift. You stop waiting for someone else to give you permission. You stop chasing validation from places that were never meant to honor you. You start building, creating, healing, leading. You start realizing that your voice carries weight, that your ideas can spark change, that your presence demands attention. And more importantly, you begin to see that power isn't about control, it's about truth. It's about showing up honestly and unapologetically, knowing that you have something to offer this world that no one else can. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You don't have to have all the answers. Your power exists in your honesty, your resilience, your vision, your love. It exists in your decision to get back up after being knocked down. It exists in your refusal to accept less than you deserve. It exists in your belief that a better world is possible, and in your willingness to be part of building it. The lie of powerlessness was meant to keep you still, but the truth of your power can move mountains. It can inspire others. It can shift the direction of generations. So no matter how long you've been made to feel small, know this.